Buck. Just so everybody knows, it is 6 a.m. his time. He lives in a town called Wanship, Utah, right outside of Park City. And one of the biggest places to go snowboarding in the entire world is Park City, Utah. He lives very close to it in a small town. And this is an insanely, like, the brag sheet for Dillon Buck. I could spend the entire call just going over his accomplishments. But this is his just a little bit about himself. So he's married to his beautiful wife, Courtney, who has strengths that make up for all of his weaknesses. He's got two beautiful dogs in Atlas and Athena. Awesome names. He started here in March of 2020, the week that COVID hit. That is crazy. And during his first 13 weeks, he broke the family heritage quick start record when the entire world shut down, just made things happen. He also field trained the next 3 agents that broke his personal quick start record after that. So that's impressive. He is the creator, the CEO, the founder of the Elevators podcast. We all know that so well. Thank you, Dillon, for implementing that into the business. He's a big snowboarder, and snow surfing is something he likes to do as well. He is could have gone pro snowboarder. I heard his story a couple of days ago on that, and that is very impressive as well. In Dillon's first year, he was the number 2 agent in the company, and he was only here for 9 months of 2020. So if he was here for the full year, probably would have been number 1. His business did over 1.7 million in that first year, and he was promoted to regional director in 2020 in just 9 months. That's very impressive. In his first 12 months of an agent, he wrote over 507,000 of premium by himself. And he was the number 2 in the history of family heritage and production as a first-year agent. And he's been in the top 10 in sales both years that he's been here while maintaining a regional director status. And his team has grown over 50% each year. He also personally trained Cajun Lobb, who was our guest speaker yesterday, who just bumped Dillon into the number 3 spot all time in rookie sales. That is awesome. He's been a double I Dare You winner each year that he's been here. He hit the Dead Aim Award, which is writing over $1 million worth of premium, a personal premium, in just 2 years, in less than 2 years. And in 2022, last year, his team elevated financial, finished with over 6.9 million of NAP. And he was just crowned in Puerto Rico the regional director of the year for last year. That is awesome. And now Dillon, Elevated Financial, is an agency owner. He's actually the youngest agency owner in all of family heritage now. And his goal for this year is to grow over 50% again. So, guys, we're going to have Dillon Buck speak on some awesome stuff. Make sure you're able to take some notes on the value of time. And I'm going to flip it over to you, Dillon.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle. For you, those of you guys that hopped on late, I am still in a robe. I've been breaking ice off of our cold plunge outside because usually I just pop in there right in the morning when I wake up, but it is frozen over this morning. So I will ask, is it more distracting for me to have my camera off or my camera on in a robe? Dan and Kyle, you choose.
Let's see you doing the breaking the ice off too. That's pretty cool.
I think on with the robe. That's inspiring.
Yep.
On with the robe. All right. I am 2 hours behind you guys. It's 6:09 a.m. right now. And we're gonna get rocking and rolling. But I told Van and Kyle that I would talk to you guys about just the value of time. Right. So we're going to talk about the value of time. We're also going to talk about the value of no's, and then turn into just effective approaching to make your no's worth more. And then we're going to, I guess, dive briefly into a question that's really fun to kind of think about, meditate on, and that's just, who am I? Right? Who are you? But a quote that I heard probably 12 years ago now that is really kind of stuck and been a pillar in my life is, you can waste $1 and you can replace it. You can destroy a piece of property and you can rebuild it. But if you waste 1 hour of time, there is nothing that you can do about that for the rest of your life. Right. So I hope that the intention here is that these next 20 or 30 minutes that we get to spend together, you start valuing time just a little bit more than you do right now. So just in terms of wasting time, right? It is really easy to waste time. Let's say when you're out in the field, If you, just some perspective, right? If you waste 10 minutes a day sitting in your car, not doing anything productive, right? It's easy to make excuses of like, oh, I'm doing admin work in my car. It's like, hey, before work or after work, that's the time to do admin work. In your car, you should either be, maybe having a planned meditation or eating some lunch. Otherwise, the definition of work in our business is talking to a prospect or being directly on your way to talking to a prospect. Okay, talking to a prospect or being directly on your way to talking to a prospect. When you're that intentional with your time is always going to be worth more monetarily. So if you waste 10 minutes a day, that's 41.6 hours over the course of the year. That's an entire week of work that you missed out on. If you waste 30 minutes of time in your car thinking about, oh man, I'm afraid to go into this next business, right? Action always cures fear. Just get up and go, count down 3, 2, 1, and get out of your car and go. 30 minutes is per day on average is 3 weeks wasted by the end of the year. And an hour is 6 weeks wasted by the end of the year. So just kind of processing this, if you produce on average $5,000 in net annualized premium per week, that's $12,000 to $15,000 in annual income that you're missing out on, because you're sitting in your car, right? So my encouragement, my challenge to myself always, and to everybody that's on this call, is be really intentional with your time in the field so that you can be really intentional with your time at home with your family. Right? If you're kind of slow, to go in, I would say, let's say half-assing it in the field, it's really easy to have your mind wander when you get back home thinking about all the things you could have done different in the field. But when you're really intentional, it's really easy to check into work and out of work, and then back into family time when you're at home, right? And your wife, your husband, your kids, they deserve that. So be intentional with your time in your field so that you can be intentional with your time at home with your family. Something that really can, I think, be really just a helpful tool is just quantifying the value of what it is to be intentional, right? Every single contact that you make in the field has value, right? For example, if you take your average weekly nap and then you take your average weekly contacts or calls, right? How many people you actually talk to or approach. And then from that, you subtract your average weekly families protected, right? So then essentially the number of no's that you get on a given week, you can get very specifically the value of every single contact that you make. So for example, let's say you have 100 contacts in a week. You're averaging at least 20 a day. You hear 5 yeses over the course of your week. That means you heard no 95 times. And let's say you wrote a very, very normal, just 5,000 in the week. Right? That means that every single no that you received, you got paid $21.05 for. Right? So it's just a different way to look at the no. You go in and someone is like, get the heck out of the business. Now, it's very rarely is anybody ever going to be that rude. But if someone is just a jerk and they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, then awesome. Cool. That just made $21. Who's next? Just made $21. Who's next? Now, if you get better at the approach and you get more sit downs, you get more demos, you're going to protect more families. So let's say you improve your skill a little bit, and rather than getting 80 contacts in a week, rather than getting 100, you get 80 contacts in a week, right? And then from that, you get 7 yeses, right? That means you heard no 73 times. And let's say by the end of the week, you, again, very conservative numbers here. Let's say by the end of the week, you wrote 6,000 in net annualized premium. That means for every no that you received, you got paid $32.88 for every single no. So every single contact that you make has value. You get better and better at the approach, and you only have 70 contacts in a week. And from those 70 contacts, you protect 8 families. 62 people said no. Let's say you wrote 7,500. Again, very conservative numbers for the amount of families that you're protecting and the amount of effort put in. If you get told no 62 times, you're at 7,500. Every single one of your no's was worth $48.39. And this is all calculated on a 40% commission contract. So there are some people on this call that will probably get paid $200 to $300 plus for every single no that they receive. Right? The better you get at every aspect of this job, the more your no's are going to be worth. And the more you can start to look at your no's as a positive thing rather than a negative thing or something that tears you down, the more endurance you're going to have in this career to succeed at a really high level. Right? And the best way, the best first step to make is to increase the value of a no is to get better at your approach. So we're going to walk through the approach a little bit right now. First thing that you should do that I would say I would recommend doing every single time that you get out of your car is take a deep breath, right? And just get and hop out of your car and start walking towards the business. Your breath is one of the most underutilized tools that you have. All right, so take a deep breath, set your intention, right? The only purpose or the intention that you should have with your approach is to get a sit down, right? Your intention shouldn't be to make a sale. It should just be to get a sit down. So take a deep breath. All right, I'm going to go get a sit down, right? I'm going to go give the best approach that I've ever given, right? Still to this day, that is the self-talk that I use when I'm walking into a business. It's going to be the best approach I've ever given. It's going to be the best approach I've ever given. And then I actually try to give the best approach that I've ever given. And the better I get at that, again, the value of those interactions monetarily will always increase. So 1, get out of your car, take a deep breath. 2, set your intention to get a sit down and use some self-talk to have the best approach that you've ever had. 3, smile, 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 right? A smile is more effective at stimulating your reward system in your brain than eating a piece of chocolate. Think about that. A smile is more effective at stimulating the reward system in your brain than eating a piece of chocolate, right? A smile reduces stress. It literally lowers your blood pressure. It boosts your immune system, right? Even a forced smile sends a signal to the brain producing endorphins and serotonin, causing positive emotions. Okay. Smiling also shows confidence. It shows that you're friendly and that you're approachable, right? Your genuine smile also makes other people feel better about themselves and their situation. Right? We get paid in direct proportion to the service that we provide. So if you can provide a better service by simply putting on a smile and making other people feel better about themselves and their situation, again, you will be providing a better service, and by default, you will get paid more. Right? Again, it makes you feel more trustworthy. The only reason that people are not going to buy the phenomenal product that we offer is if they don't fully see the value, or if they don't trust you. And most of the time, if they don't trust you, they're not gonna see the value. So a smile will help you in gaining trust. Okay, so it puts people at ease. It also communicates, again, just trustworthiness and belonging and good intentions. So smile, 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 smile. It is so important. And it's so simple. It's so simple. And then 4, go low and slow. Go low and slow, right? Let people really process what you're saying, right? Don't overwhelm them. Hey, I'm dealing with family heritage. I'm the one that's been sitting down with all the businesses. Blah, blah, blah. Like that is an approach where you will get so many no's immediately, and they're not going to be worth much, right? If you just slow down, hey, I'm Dillon with Family Heritage, and I'm just in charge of catching up with all the businesses here locally. I was just catching up with Kyle over at Kyle Construction and Van over at Van's Beauty Shop. And I just want to make sure I caught up with you guys for a minute, just to introduce myself and let you know what we do for about 20 to 30 businesses just right here locally. But man, I just get a few minutes. Do you have a place that we could sit? All right, go low and slow and be receptive. Because by going low and slow, if you guys have listened to Getting Technical Part 1 on the podcast, that's something, if you haven't heard this before, you can go and this will be reiterated there. But the objections that you are covering in their mind, right? Psychologically, the objections that are going to come up is, who are you? Who are you with? Are you in the right place? Why should I care? What are you here for? And how long is this going to take? Right? So, hi, I'm Dillon with Family Heritage. Just covered the first 2 objections that are come up in their head, which is, who are you and who are you with? Right? Are you in the right place? I'm just in charge of catching up with all the businesses here locally. This is a business, right? They're in the right place. Why should I care? Well, I was just catching up with Kyle and Van, both people that they probably know, or businesses at least that they know of, right? And then we reiterate that, we work with, just wanted to show you what we're doing for 20 to 30 other businesses, right? Kind of abundance language to help them realize, nobody wants to be the first one to do something, or the only one to do something, but people also don't want to be the only one not doing something. Right. So you have to understand that by going low and slow, you are going to be covering all the objections that are naturally going to come up in their mind. But if you're going really fast, they're not going to have time to come up with the objections. They're going to be overwhelmed and they're going to kick you out of their business and say, sorry, not interested, please leave. Right. So what are you here for? Introduce myself, let you know what we do for all these businesses. And then how long is this going to take? Don't make it about their time, right? Man, I just get a few minutes. Do you have a place that we could sit? And break eye contact and be assumptive, because here's the reason that we break eye contact, right? If I'm asking for a place to sit and we are making eye contact the entire time, that's awkward. And they have no idea what the rules of the game are, right? I just get a few minutes. Do you have a place that we could sit? We break eye contact. You are then coming up with and teaching them the rules of the game. Like, we just went through the approach. I just covered all of your objections. The next step in this game is for us to sit down and probably right there. So break eye contact, look to where you want to sit, and go ahead and sit. So that is huge. And then when you're sitting down with people, be interested. Be genuinely interested. Don't try to sit down and talk about yourself and be interesting. The best way to be interesting is to be interested. So be genuinely interested in the person and what they've got going on in their life. When you're asking the question, after you wrap up building rapport, also don't spend a ton of time building rapport. Build enough to the point where you can become a human. But once you become a human, move into the presentation, right? So, but yeah, when you're talking about the cancer, the accident, all that kind of stuff, be interested in their story, right? When you're talking to someone, that should be the only person that matters in that moment. So again, you need to know that every no that you get producing at an average level, this is good for perspective, right? Every no that you get producing at a very average level is worth more than most of America gets paid hourly. And you can get a lot of no's over the course of a 30-minute period. You can probably get 3 or 4 no's. Right? Every no that you get is more than producing at an average level here at Family Heritage is more than what most of America gets paid hourly. So make your time count right now. And another thing to understand is it takes all week to give your no's that value consistently, right? You must move through your no's in order to find your yeses, right? And obviously the yeses are the things that give your no's value, because the no's are absolutely 100% required to find them, right? Hopefully you guys have listened to one of the more recent episodes with Andrea Waltz, Go for No. I think that's a great way to think about going into the field, is just, I'm just gonna go find my no's today, because by default, by finding my no's, I'm gonna flip enough cards to find my yeses, right? So again, you can waste $1, but you can always replace $1, right? You can destroy a piece of property. You can always rebuild it. But if you waste 1 hour of time, there is nothing that you can do about that for the rest of your life. And then last thing that we'll talk about is one of the most powerful questions that you can ask yourself is, who am I? And just over and over and over, ask yourself, who am I? All right? Who am I? And I have a body, but I'm not my body. I have a mind, but I'm not my mind. Right? So who am I? Right? What do you embody? Are you kind? Right? For me, the thing that always comes to mind, the things that I am always striving towards for who I am and who I want to be for my wife, for my business partners, for friends and family and all that kind of stuff. Right? Who am I? I'm loving. I'm service-minded. Who am I? I'm courageous. Right? I'm willing to face my fears over and over and over again. Right? What else is courage than a willingness to act in spite of the fear that exists? Right? So my self-talk that I always come back to after I can meditate on something like, who am I, for, this is something I did a long time ago, but the mantra that has now become a staple in my daily, just kind of an anchor, a confidence anchor, is I'm a loving, service-minded, courageous leader. I'm a loving, service-minded, courageous leader. Again, and I'm an introvert, right? Just naturally, I am an introvert. I'm a learned extrovert, but that means to a certain extent, I have a fear about being around people. And that's what I do every day. So there's a huge amount of fulfillment that comes from facing fear consistently, come from doing the things that scare you all the time. So if you're afraid of failure, go freaking fail as much as you possibly can. If you're afraid of succeeding, do whatever it takes to succeed. If you're afraid of looking stupid, please go out and be willing to look dumb. And you will be shocked at the amount of joy that you experience because you're willing to just get over the things that cripple you, right? The willingness to act in spite of fear will bring you all the success, all the self-confidence, all the self-worth that you'd ever want, right? We're really blessed to work in a job that can kind of spark a decent amount of fear in us. But as long as we're willing to act, it's going to shape us and mold us into the kind of people that we want to be. And that will inevitably get us to the kind of the goals, the kind of success, the things that we want to get out of life. So thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for paying attention this morning. That's what I've got.
Wow. Oh, holy smokes, Dillon. Drop the mic. That was unbelievable. I have so many notes myself. And yes, so powerful and so simple. I love the approach, just the overall, the mindset of walking into the business, Dillon, and just getting the value of no's. I've honestly never heard that part before. Just the value of what a no actually is, and having that right mindset of just breaking that down into granular, numbers is extremely powerful. And I will definitely be figuring out some numbers here pretty soon. A power of no's for our agents. That is unbelievable. Guys, we have about 3 minutes real quick. Any quick questions for Dillon, Buck, while we have him on the call right now?
Dillon, it's Van. Could you repeat those the questions that you're answering in the approach? Who are you? Who are you with?
Of course. Yeah. Who are you? Who are you with? Are you in the right place? Why should I care? What are you here for? And how long is this going to take? Who are you? Who are you with? Are you in the right place? Why should I care? What are you here for? And how long is this going to take?
Man, I think if you just know you're answering those questions and being purposeful about that approach, it can make all the difference. Thank you.
Absolutely. And again, if you want those things reiterated, the episode on the podcast, I think it's called After Month 1 and Beyond, Getting Technical Part 1.
Is that right?
Nope. Awesome.
All right. Hey, I got a quick question. Dillon, you got a beast morning routine. You do so many things at 6 a.m. your time, and he does a lot of things before other people wake up at 6 or 7 a.m. Could you walk through like what you do in the morning before you even, hit the field?
Sure. Yeah. So I wake up at 5 a.m. I do 2 rounds of kind of intense breath work. It's 25 breaths in, 25 breaths out without pausing at the bottom or the top. And then after the 25 breaths, I'll breathe my air all the way out so that there's absolutely no oxygen in my system. And I'll hold for about 10 or 11 seconds. And then after 10 or 11 seconds, I'll breathe out and I'll start that process again. I'll do 2 rounds of, it's just Wim Hof breath work. And that's how I get like at 5 a.m., I don't care who you are. Usually you're going to wake up a little bit tired and the different days are going to be different. But after 2 rounds of breath work, you are energized, your body is oxygenated. So anyway, I don't want to get into a hole there, but 2 rounds of breath work. Then I pop out of bed, I go downstairs. As long as my ice bath is not iced over, then I'll get in the ice bath around 5:05. I'll turn on my sauna and then go downstairs and get a workout in, come up and drink my protein shake, hop on the sauna. And then at that point, it's usually about 7 a.m. and I, run our morning call. And then after morning call, get everything together for shake. I do my journal. I read. So I've got a daily journal that I just kind of get all my thoughts out in. And then I've got a daily Stoic journal that has a little prompt that I just write a few lines on. And then usually when I'm in the sauna, I meditate. And then I've got I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Rise or Dose, but it's like a coffee replacement that's filled with like these great mushrooms and stuff like that. So I drink that stuff and then I'm ready for my day around 8 or so. And then I've got a little bit of time to relax before either my first interview or getting in the field or going to train or or whatever. But I do all the hardest parts of my day happen right in the beginning. I experience a decent amount of fear every single time before I get into 39-degree water. And then I get over that fear. And then I experience a little bit of fear, just like a lack, some discomfort in going to the gym, and I go to the gym. And so all these things that I'm willing to do give me confidence that I'm able to do the next thing well. So I think that, doing all the hard things in the beginning of the day definitely helps the rest of the day.
Wow.
Impressive.
That is awesome. That's so, I just wrote all that stuff
Hey,
down.
Dillon, can I ask you a question real quick? This is Riley.
Of course.
Hey, so you're talking about your morning routine. That's really great with Kyle. So, you said you're an extrovert, you're an introvert, learn extrovert. Man, maybe what are about 2 books, maybe a philosopher that you've studied and learned to help develop yourself doing that morning routine that's really contributed to your success in the business? Maybe for some new people, they can pick up those same books. So what's like one philosopher, 2 books you recommend to help develop self?
In terms of a book that I read that I thought was pretty just interesting for just introverts in general, it's called Introverts, the power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. I think a lot of time for introverts, especially being in an extroverted world, it's really easy to think, I'm just not built for this. It's like, no, you just got to make some decisions that might be harder, but there's going to be other decisions for extroverts that are harder than they are for introverts. Power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. And then in terms of philosophers or just people to study to get better in this business, I think a lot of people have heard me talk about the 4 agreements. That book just simplifies, I think, what it is to be good at being human, and what it is to, obviously the Bible and all these other places are really phenomenal places that you can go to study and dive deep. I think the 4 agreements will make you better at whatever you believe, just because it simplifies a lot of different stuff. And I could talk for probably the next 30 minutes about different books that you could go and read. As long as you are constantly seeking to learn and being a student and wanting to read more books, you'll find a bunch. And I can send my favorite book list over to Kyle or Van, and they can post it in your Voxer if that's helpful.
That'd be awesome.
One of the best books that was helpful and kind of transformative for me in the beginning of my career is a book called The Go-Giver. And we just, so cool, this week I got to spend some time with Bob Berg, who's the author or one of the co-authors of The Go-Giver. So that was the most recent episode that came out, but he is an absolute legend.
Heck yeah.
Wow. Guys, let's all give Dillon a big hand for today. Holy smokes. That
Heck
was,
yeah. Thank you so much for being on.
yeah, that was beautiful. He is going to go. He's going to go outside and chip away at his ice at the ice
Back
sharks.
out to the ice.
He's going to conquer fear, get that 39-degree water, crush his workout, and get in the sauna. I'm excited. Dillon, thank you so much, man, for being on today, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me. See you guys.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, Dillon.
Yeah, just a quick recap. I've got a bunch of notes here. This was recorded as well, so I'm definitely going to listen to this. And we had a great guest speaker yesterday as well, Cajun Lob. I'm going to re-listen to that myself again this weekend. But we had 2 phenomenal guest speakers back to back out of Elevated Financial. No secret to success. If you just watch what Dillon does and do the things that he does, you're going to be successful too. There's nothing that he's doing that we can't do ourselves. It's just about doing them on a daily basis. And are you going to go from the morning routine that you have right now to doing his right away? Probably not, but it's just like implementing one little thing at a time. That's just going to make you better, bigger, faster, stronger. And that's been years in the making. So you got to just make sure that we're always striving to get better and getting better at something, right? So the value of no's, what he first talked about, very powerful. That's something that we can all do, figure out some math and just figure out that your power of no's. If you have a weekly business review, that would be something cool to do with your leader. I've actually never done that before, so I'm excited about doing that and just figuring out, how much no is actually worth. It gives you that good buying atmosphere and just having the right approach when you walk into a business. Lots of good notes on that. And that was also on the Elevators podcast. One of those episodes, it talks about a lot of that same content that he was talking about in the getting technical section. And just having, just being excited about that, your mindset, like who you are. He's courageous. He's an introverted, learned extrovert. that is pretty cool to hear that, and just not being scared to fail, because if you're scared to fail, it's okay. Action cures fear, like he said. And then all those books, the morning routine, everything was just beautiful. So guys, it is Thirsty Thursday. So this is the best day of the week, every single week. Thirsty Thursdays, we really kind of turn it on, full throttle, going full steam ahead. And we always finish the week strong. So let's go out there, guys. We got a train more that starts on Monday, but it really starts today, because if you want to go crush and knock the ball out of the park on the train more, it really kind of comes to what activities are you going to do today to set yourself up for success. So make sure, non-negotiable, rainy days are great days. There's a lot of businesses where guys are out in the field. Well, guess what? Now that it's raining all day today, they're going to be in the office. So go take advantage of it. We have our best days on rainy days like today. Let's go out there, make things happen. Be the smile when you walk into a business, like all the science behind it, like Dillon said. Let's go smile. Super big today, the biggest smiles we've ever had. And our cheeks should be sore at the end of the night from smiling so much all day today. And go be a blessing for Mr. and Mrs. Jones. And we'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. Have a great Thursday.
Thanks, Kyle.
Great Zoom. Have a great day, guys.